All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again. Well, good morning and welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Of course, I'm your host, Lance Migliaccio, with my co-host, George Ballantine. It's rise and grind, tip of the spear, and if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. You know, that's the plan each and every single episode of this show. We always try to do the research so you don't have to. We'll bring you the top stories, top interviews, top information, because, of course, educating yourself is all part of the plan, because with that, hopefully we'll get a chance to unify the country. You know, I always think it's only two sides, traitors and patriots. And of course, one side wants division and chaos. That's not what this show's about. So if you're at the wrong spot, you might want to turn off the channel. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. George B., my brother, how are you, man?
Good. Good. I don't know. Just chilling. What's today? Thursday? It's Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's hard to keep track sometimes. Sometimes I wake up and I think, what day is it?
I don't know, because I go nonstop.
Yeah.
Even
it
Jay,
never
when he
stops.
first said to me, he was like, "You look like you got no sleep." I'm like,
Yeah. That happens. You know, I
That's
slept
that's
okay
it, but that's
last night.
normal every day, though. Nah, I
I
got a
slept
little sleep
okay.
last
I'm
night.
still
Yeah.
feeling a little rough from being sick, you know, from having that stomach flu. So a little off,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
still good. Of course, if you like the show, you know the plan. Take a minute, hit the thumbs up, the comment, share, get into the chat. Don't be shy. If you're watching the show, you got a comment, you have a question. We've got a great guest today, so you may have some questions in your own personal situations. Throw them in there. Let's share them with the audience. You know, again, we're here to help you guys, and that's what the show's all about. The Big Mig Mafia, the subscribers, our listeners, and of course, our mods that support us every single show. We greatly appreciate you guys. All right. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, you can hit us up at info@thebigmig.com. Let's start off by thanking one of our sponsors. You know, George and I, we always believe in, of course, what? Gold and silver, crypto. I think diversification is always important in your portfolio. Gold and silver, of course, on a tear. Had you got involved in it 2 years ago when we really first started promoting it, you'd be thanking us right now. But none of this is financial advice. This is just an education. And of course, this is the Prepper Bar. The 62.2 gram Prepper Bar, perforated, as you can see when I hold it up. There are 3 separate denominations on there. And of course, you can just snap off a small piece to make a payment. Great invention by the guys at Genesis Gold Group. And it doesn't matter whether you're using silver and gold for diversification or asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its very unique utility for barter and trade. Prepper Bar, it's a perfect gift for everybody. You can stick it in your gun safe, your sock drawer, down in the rafters of your basement. Believe me, it's always great to have some on hand just in case. US dollar, $39 trillion in debt. Yeah, the economy is improving, but I haven't seen them pay down the debt yet. So they really need to get to work on that right away. And of course, available right now, they come with an assay report. Head over to thebigmigbar.com, thebigmigbar.com. And don't forget to use the promo code we've got for you guys. All caps, PREPPER, PREPPR. That's PREPPR. That'll get you 10% off on the silver and 5% off on the gold. Thebigmigbar.com. George always makes it easy with the QR code. You just take a picture. You can go there after the show. Don't go there now. Go there after. Of course, or you can call them at 888-526-7154, 888-526-7154.
No singing, Lance. Not today.
No singing. George is definitely tired. He likes to do
No,
his
I'm not
jingle.
tired. What? It's not about being tired, bro. Here.
Break me off a piece of that Prepper Bar.
There
you
it
go.
is. All right. Got to get it in.
I'm just
All
messing
right.
with you, bro.
So, you know, you've heard us talk about the law quite a bit on this show. You know, that's kind of a hobby of mine. I don't know why it's a hobby. It's a sick hobby. I'm not sure why I'm so entrenched in it, but the more I get entrenched, the worse it gets for me. But listen, you know, there's so many people out there that struggle when they get into family law. You know, if it's whether it's rights with their children, you know, who's going to control the decisions your children make. divorces, it just, the list goes on and on. You're dealing with the PTAs and the school system, which is fractured in so many ways, and the constant onslaught of mainstream media attempting to groom your children. It is complicated. And I've told you many times that we've talked about the dangers of AI, but there are some amazing things that AI can do. And when you talk about family law, we thought that this would make a great interview and maybe help some people out there, which that's what the show is all about. So if you have anybody that's struggling with some family law issues, you want to come in because we've got Jay Rosenthal with us today. He's a child welfare consultant, former CPS investigator, and founder of Heartwork Defense, which is a consulting firm for family law firms and parents across the full spectrum of family law and domestic family issues, and creator of KinGuard AI. So he's got 10 years of experience in the mental health and social services investigation field. Jay's seen it all when it comes to the family justice system, and I'm sure he's seen lots of the injustice in the family justice system. He holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from the Aderner Institute of Advanced Psychological Studies at Adelphi University, and also has extensive additional training in clinical hypnotherapy. No reason to keep going on. Let's just get him in here and let's get going, because I'm sure he's got plenty to talk about. He's a really interesting
He's from New
guy.
York. He can talk. All right. Welcome to the Big Mig Show. Jay Rosenthal. Mazel tov.
Hey there, Lance. Hey there, George. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Jay, appreciate you joining us. Just so you know, our audience, that if you look at the demographics of our audience, they're very self-educated. The most of them are highly educated, but they are intrigued by a lot of this. We talk about it on the show when it comes to criminal law or the government or constitutional law or civil rights. We get into these topics, but I have to be honest, we've never gotten into this area. It's not an area of expertise for me. Thankfully, other than some estate planning for my mom, I've never had to be involved in it. But let's talk about what got you started in this, because you started out as kind of in a different direction. So you were a child welfare consultant, and then you were a CPS investigator. So let's discuss what made you decide to go down this road.
He was on the evil side, Child Protective Service, because some of them can be really jerks.
Well, maybe, depending on how he handled it.
Okay, sorry, Jay.
Well, when you talk about the evil side, you have to, you have to look at it from, from two vantage points. You have to look at it from the individual. You have to look at it from the institution. Sometimes the individual and the institution end up being consistent, and sometimes they're not. So whether I was on the evil side, I think really depends on how you define it. If we're talking about the institution, absolutely. This was, Marvel Comics and DC have been defining evil for decades, almost a century now. And I can say full well that there are many executive branch government agencies and institutions that tend to fall under the supervillain umbrella.
Yeah, and Jay, we've had a lot of experts. We've had a lot. Of course, I'm an anti-human trafficker, child trafficker, as is George. I have thoughts in my head of how those individuals that participate that should be dealt with. So far, the government hasn't chosen my route because it includes an industrial wood chipper. I don't expect them to at any time soon, but we've seen some horrendous stuff even during the Biden administration. Let me ask you this. You decided to go off on, I guess this is your company, and you decided to go in this direction. What triggered that? Was there, everybody has an epiphany moment. For me, my epiphany moment came back when I was a government contractor. I recognized the government for what it was, and I decided, and I was doing contracts. I was doing government work all over the globe, 41 different countries. And, George had his own epiphany moment, but when he and I teamed up, we were looking at what was going on and recognized that really, if we stayed on the sideline, nothing was going to change. And I was never political. George, were you ever political before we really started to get connected and do this? I mean, were you political
before the show?
Yeah, prior to the show, prior to our introduction years and years and years ago. Were you ever political when you were younger?
When I was younger, no. I mean, I started getting more political when Trump announced he was going to run.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was involved when Ross Perot said he was going to run because I so
Yeah.
wanted a non-political person to run for president.
Mm.
I wanted a businessman because this country, the way the politicians run it, you have to run it somewhat like a business, and you
Yeah.
know, not waste so much money. And I don't know, with things with Ross Perot, so it was disappointing. And then we had, you know, the Bush and all them
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, a very bright guy. I won't say who it
Mm-hmm.
was. I had a personal conversation. Told me that you have to run this country. The best of all worlds is to be somebody with military leadership skills and business skills. But everything other than career politicians, if you don't have business skills and you don't have military skills for leadership and how to organize things, I'm talking about the highest levels of leadership in the military, general status. That probably you're going to have difficulty running the country. Jay, what was your epiphany moment? Was it you were dealing with something as a CPS investigator? Did you look at something and you thought, this is just so freaking wrong? I've got to do something about this, or I'm going to make a difference.
So, like most people, as you had said, you're obviously against child trafficking, and the remedy being having something to do with an industrial wood chipper. I can fill in the blanks in my imagination. Terrifying, but in some ways, I would say just as well. I do share that sentiment. But most people, when they hear child protection, for example, they think, well, I'm all for that. We should want to protect children. And if a child is being abused or neglected, I'm glad that society does something. And you know what? I had that idealistic understanding initially, too. Like most people, I was naive at one point. You don't become an expert before you get experience. You tend to become an expert after. So unfortunately, my foresight was not as good as my hindsight. So I did work for ACS in New York City, and truly, I loved the idea. I loved my. It felt like my calling. I was taught my one corner of. Excuse me. Sorry about that. My phone
That's
was
okay.
going off.
Yeah, that happens. So you have to always check. We always check our phones. I had to do that right before we started.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I learned my corner. And what I did for the most part was I was the one who, after the reports were received by the hotline and sent to the local office, I was the one who did the investigation, made the determination. If a removal had to be done, I made the removal. I brought the dependency petition to court. And
For the audience, Jay, is that considered a welfare check when you go in, when you make the first point of contact and a report's been made?
So a welfare check is typically not a full investigation. That would just
Gotcha.
be that could either be done by law enforcement, for anybody. Just
Gotcha.
I want to make sure they're okay. An investigation means that there have been formal allegations made of child maltreatment, which would be child abuse, child neglect, and the like. And usually in state and municipal CPS agencies, that always warrants a full investigation as long as the report is accepted. And most reports generally end up being accepted for investigation because the risk to the state reputationally, if they don't accept a report and it turns out, well, this child is really being abused, the child dies, there is an incentive structure to just be overzealous. It gives a new meaning to mother government. What ended up happening is over time, I started to really understand the child welfare system a lot better. And the truth is that the child welfare agencies are really no different than the DMV or the IRS. If you've ever had to go and renew your driver's license, or you've ever had the privilege of being audited by the IRS,
Or the displeasure of being audited by the IRS.
I was being a little facetious, but yes.
No, of course. Of course you were. No, I got this. Listen, I get the New York sarcasm, but I think what you're talking about when it comes to, and somebody said something to me a couple of weeks ago and said, well, don't you think the Department of Justice, because I was making a comment about Pam Bondi's inactivity and her focus on doing interviews on Fox News. And they said, don't you think the Department of Justice in general does a really good job? And I said, so you're establishing a baseline that the Department of Justice, as an example, is the one department in our entire government that's doing a good job. That if you compare it to the IRS, you compare it to the FBI, or you compare it to Department of Homeland Security or any of the other ones, and you look at the amount, let's just talk about the recent theft that's been pointed out in Minneapolis and otherwise, and you look at the amount of theft that DOJ uncovered. I said, you're assuming right now that that's the one department that gets it right every single time. And he sat quietly for a minute. He goes, you're right. The point is the current status of family justice in the United States, maybe spell that out for the audience, because sometimes people get confused, state and federal governments and county governments. In my opinion, the justice system is damaged and flawed across the board because there really isn't any true independent oversight that has any teeth in the dog. The dog can bark, but it can't bite. And that's the difficulty of what we're dealing with.
So you touch on something really important, and as I was saying, the inefficiencies in government generally across the board, and the contempt they have for the individual, are universal. It's only the subject matter that changes, and with the subject matter, when the subject matter changes, the stakes change a bit. And when you're dealing with families, obviously the stakes are pretty high. The family unit is essentially one of the most sacred units of survival that we have. When it comes to family justice, just generally speaking, and I think this goes beyond just to generally our entire government. We look at government as the problem, and I think that's a mistake. Unfortunately, culture is upstream of government. So wherever the culture is, if the government is rotten, it's because the culture has deprecated. It's because the culture has gotten muddy. The culture is not what it used to be. So there are a lot, I speak to a lot of individuals, a lot of parents, even attorneys, and who are very upset about the way the system operates, very frustrated, obviously. And many of them have their own solutions, and they can answer the who, what, where, when, and why of the family justice problem pretty well. They all struggle with the how. The one coherent answer that I tend to get scares the living daylights out of me. It goes something like this. If everyone would just do as I tell them, we'd all live in peace and harmony. Now, that's been tried many times throughout history. I can't recall learning about a single time where that worked. So when it comes to family justice, you look at, for example, the Great Society programs. And, for example, let's take a look at the African American community. Before the Great Society programs, these major welfare benefits, the two-parent household rate in the Black community was more than 80%. Today it's the inverse. And a lot of it is attributed to the idea that in order to get certain benefits like WIC or SNAP or otherwise, it required a separation from, between husband and wife. And that set a particular standard, a particular precedent. So that alone just started a fracture of the family system. Then you talk about male and female role models. You have a lot of kids who do not have strong masculine role models at all. They go to school. The teaching professions and the helping professions generally are typically very female dominated. If you're growing up in a single mother household, there are plenty of single mothers that are fantastic parents. But going it alone like that, a single mother, a single father, especially in this day and age, is very, very hard to do. And it just evolutionarily speaking, we weren't designed to go it alone. We are social animals. There may be some things that, as technology develops, as society develops, that certainly may change the way that that's expressed a bit, but the general core doesn't actually change. So with the ambiguity that comes up in family law, for example, try objectifying. Sorry, excuse me. Let me reframe that. Try objectively identifying or objectively defining. Wow, I'm really off my game today. Try objectively defining what the best interests of the child are. Give it a shot, Lance.
If I was going to define what the child rights are, or what a child should have as far as its considerations for how it's raised and how it's supported and how it's protected, clearly, if you could do it in a way that would benefit everybody, you'd say, well, I hope that we don't have to be in a situation where the parents have to hold down, both have jobs. Because I think whether it's single family parents, I think part of that is the first issue. It's the parents themselves having to not have the ability to spend enough time with the children, so they use social media. So number one, it's the parents having to spend too much time out of the home. That's number one. Number two, I think that children probably struggle with what they're being, I guess, the narrative they're receiving daily, whether it's on social media or otherwise. And that makes it even more difficult for the parents because, of course, you see videos on TikTok, you see things on Instagram, and I don't know that the core value system is God, country, family. I don't believe that the core value system is integrity and morality. Booty shaking and TikTok challenges where you're supposed to go out and lick a public toilet seat. I think these kind of things are really troubling. Doesn't matter whether it's Netflix or Amazon or otherwise. So I think that the systems that are out there that are where parents have to rely on them to educate the children, I think that's damaging. I think our education system, that children should have a solid education system that isn't flawed. But of course, we waste trillions of dollars sending money out of this country to every damn nation there is. And I think we should be putting that money into the infrastructure of our school system. You mentioned that most of the schools have female teachers. Well, of course, part of that's got to do with the pay and benefits the teachers receive. And I also think the quality of the teaching system has been damaged. So I think children deserve a system that is, unbiased and can give them the tools they need to be successful in their lives.
Well, what's damaged is, I think, Lance, and you make great points, but I want to add to it because when you have, which definitely hard enough for when you have a single parent raising a child, whether it be a mother or father, whether it's single, it's definitely hard. What's worse today is when you have married couples and both of them are at work and no one's home for the children to discipline them, to help them with school. That's a problem. But Lance, I want to bring him into what he personally does in his company, because a lot of people don't know this. Like, what do you do when CPS does come at your door, knocking on your door? Because I see videos all the time, see them on TikTok everywhere, Facebook, and they can be ruthless. And for people that are not aware of what to do or how to handle themselves, I mean, this document right here tells it all. It says, if they do come knocking on your door, it's probably what reason, Jay? Because someone made a report on you or the child.
Typically, if a report is made, and it's accepted for investigation, then they have to do legally, or as the law is written, they have to investigate. They have to make their efforts. So at that point, somebody's already made an allegation. They've basically told the government on you.
You know what's crazy though?
Capacity.
But you see so much where people either a mean ex or whatever, they make false accusations just to disrupt your life. And I want to read what this thing what you have here. So if CPS does come knocking on the door, it says, I'm going to read it, quote, let them know it isn't a good time and ask if the CPS investigator if they can come back at another time, whether it be the next morning, day after, evening. And what they're going to say to you is they're going to tell you they're required by law, as Jay was just saying, to assess the safety of your children and your home, urging you to let them inside. And listen, don't ever let anybody inside you. Unless they have a warrant, you don't have to let nobody inside. And just hold your ground. Hold the line, as we always say. You can, and it says here, you can offer to bring your children to the doorway for the CPS investigator to see. You as a parent can allow a few questions. It's at all your discretion under your supervision. And you make sure that CPS investigator is outside your residence and you and your children are inside the doorway. Now, it also goes on to say, keep the interaction at a minimum, reconfirm the plan, and end the visit until the interviews can be conducted at an agreed upon date and time. Now, this time frame between the initial visit and the full initial interviews is not long enough to justify CPS getting a court order. So it allows you to retain control while giving you time to digest what has occurred and prepare accordingly. That alone can put you in a clearer frame of mind and a better position to make it through a CPS investigation. Jay, should somebody, if they have to go, bring a lawyer with them? If they can?
Absolutely. Having an attorney certainly can't hurt. A lot of times in my experience, and I think that this is a grossly underserved market, there are a lot of attorneys who are like, well, call me when a petition is filed. And at that point, that's not when you want to be calling an attorney, or that's not when you don't want to, that's not when you want to be going it, you don't want to be going it alone. Until that point, you don't want to be going it alone at all. Even if you can't get an attorney, get someone, because when it's your kids, you're not thinking logically. I would not, if CPS were investigating me, I would not face them alone, simply because I'm not in the right frame of mind. I'm like, I'll do whatever I can to appease you. Just don't take my children away. I'm so scared of this that whatever they're saying, the fear, the emotion is clouding my judgment. I am more likely to go against my own advice if I'm the one in the hot seat, because emotionally I am just this is terrifying. These are your kids.
Jay, I got to ask this, percentage-wise, how much of the reporting is retaliatory and false?
You're going to
if you get 10 reports, how many of them are as George just said, which I think was a great question, is an angry girlfriend, an angry ex, maybe it's a rough breakup. How many of them are false?
So it depends on how it's defined. If it's how the government defines it, it's less than 1%. It's almost none. If it's how I would reasonably define it, I would say out of every 10, it's maybe, if we're talking maliciously false, it's somewhere between 1 and 2 out of 10. The reason is mandated reporter laws. And these vary by state. Some states make everybody a mandated reporter of child maltreatment, which essentially means that nobody is. That's almost impossible to enforce. More than half of states only classify mandated reporters as what I would call professionally mandated reporters. These are licensed professionals for the most part. These are social service providers, psychotherapists, physicians, nurses, and the like, teachers, daycare providers, and they are required by law to report anything that could potentially be child abuse or neglect. And although enforcement of failure to report, prosecution of failure to report is extraordinarily rare. I can't think of a single notable case that comes to mind. But a lot of these mandated reporters are overzealous. The schools included. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a school say, well, we recommend these services, these special services for your child. And the parent says, well, no, or I'm going to get these services outside of the school. School makes a report. Now, how intentionally false reports are defined by the state is a very different story. And for that, usually it has to be prosecuted, and it's usually only a misdemeanor. So you would have to, all these reports that are made are confidential. CPS can't tell you who made the report. So you would have to know the report. You would have to file a complaint with the local police department and have all the evidence. Then you'd have to make it such a bulletproof case that it would have to, that the DA wouldn't just put it in the circular file and forget about it for all eternity.
What happened to the right? What happened to the right to face your accuser?
Yeah.
So this is where the administrative state gets really interesting, because there has been for a very long time an argument over whether Child Protective Services is a social service provider or law enforcement. And so far, Child Protective Services is classified as a social services provider. So what they do is they work with law enforcement. So let's say there's an emergency removal that needs to happen pre-petition. There's no order. Okay, well, this is what as a CPS investigator, this is what I received. I'm making a statement to law enforcement. I'm saying I believe this child is in immediate or impending danger of serious harm. And, we cannot wait. If we do, this child is going to get seriously hurt. And then law enforcement takes that statement. For me, essentially, we go and we can make a removal before, because what we're doing is we're using the powers that law enforcement has without the same accountability that law enforcement has. And so it's a workaround, because we're part of the executive branch, the administrative state, rather than, for example, the criminal justice system, or even the family justice system, that allows for certain for a lack of accountability and roundabout access to certain privileges that wouldn't normally be allowed.
And to me, that's the dangerous part, when you've got ambiguity and you've got a gray area, because it allows the system to manipulate. And especially when it comes to government, they will always push the boundaries. So if they're administrative, but they're not really law enforcement, but do CPS agents, as an example, they have badges, don't they, CPS?
Badges, IDs,
which
yes.
gives the appearance of law enforcement, the trappings of law enforcement, maybe not the uniform, but with an ID and a badge. A lot of people would assume they're law enforcement, but here they are as administrative. And that's the frightening part, when government decides to act extra or and what I mean by that, in the case of federal government, would be extra constitutionally or unconstitutionally. It's when they push the boundaries. Because, of course, one officer, you might have been a great CPS officer. You might have been exactly the guy that somebody, if they were going to deal with that situation, would want. But then, of course, there's the kind of guy that takes advantage, or the woman that takes advantage of the power that's given them. And the ambiguity allows them to go beyond what the rights of the administrative state are. And that's always concerning to me. We've got to take a short break, Jay. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back. You're going to want to hear what we've got to say. We're going to start going into AI. We'll talk about that. Jay's got a lot to cover here, so stay tuned. This is the kind of things you want to have in your tool set. This is the kind of information you want to share far and wide. Take the live link, share it on the break, hit that thumbs up and follow button. Fastest growing show on Rumble, so we appreciate all the support. You guys have been coming in droves. Everybody gets to keep their man card in this show, the men and women of Rumble. So thank you very much. George B.
Be right back. Don't go nowhere. Baby. Don't go nowhere. Some New York music for you there, Jay. Wake you up a little bit. Maybe we need to wake you up.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit cspoa.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's cspoa.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.
All right, welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Here we host Lance Migliaccio, yours truly, George Ballantyne, and we got our special guest, Jay Rosenthal. But you know what we say here? Lance and I have the perfect solution for the people that can't watch their crypto 24/7. That's why we're here to tell you about BlockTrustIRA.com. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday people. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This is sophisticated technology once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, and now it's available to you. And look, it's no surprise this system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. And clients, they're already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all with military-grade security and up to $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected. So don't wait. Visit BigMigCrypto.com today and see how you can join this financial revolution that's finally giving everyday Americans access to the crypto opportunity of a lifetime. Once again, visit BigMigCrypto.com today and you can get up to $2,500 of free crypto. I got the QR code right here on the screen. Take a screenshot, save it to your photo files, but don't go there now because we got some more education to do and more ways to teach you with this AI program. But before we go, I got to give a big shout out to Tony Triano. I hope I said it right. Triano. She's a friend of mine. She's the one that sent me this video I'm about to show you. She actually works with this company. She does a lot of work with anything to do with helping women, saving our children. She works tirelessly. She also does one of her other skilled trades is she does social media marketing and management. So you can find her on X. She's actually in the chat. You could either hit her up or look her up on X. She does a great job. She's a very smart woman. So do the right thing. All right. All right. I want to call you Doc for some reason. I don't know why.
I've had a lot of doctors on the show lately,
I know,
PhDs
right?
and otherwise. So maybe you're hooked on it now.
Maybe. All right. I'm going to show the video.
We released the first version of KinGuard AI. It was limited to CPS cases and was more of a parlor trick than a formidable tool. For the past year, we've been working tirelessly to rebuild KinGuard AI from the ground up as the ultimate tool in parental rights defense across the full spectrum of family issues. Today, I'm proud to share the results with you. KinGuard AI is explicitly designed to work with you as the situation exists in the real world, not just on paper. Imagine no more unhelpful, tone-deaf responses from ChatGPT. The new KinGuard AI is the real deal, and it's aligned with your desired outcome. The new KinGuard AI has a brand new look, and it's comprised of 7 different specialized AI agents that work together for you across all your marital dispute and parental.
Yep.
So, Jay, we've already discussed quite a bit. We've given the audience kind of a basic, but let's give them the cliff notes. So what you created as a solution. So the problem you identified, give it to me in bullet points. What were the following issues that made you want to go down this road with KinGuard AI and come up with a solution that people could use and attorneys could also use to protect families?
So initially we formed Heartwork. Heartwork Defense was formed as a consulting firm really built on the human expertise rather than AI back when we launched in 2022. But what we ended, ultimately, I was unhappy working within the child welfare system, and I was frustrated. I'd stayed there for about 2.5 years because I always looked to my left and I looked to my right. And I thought, what if this case is assigned to one of my colleagues? And I didn't like where my head went. So I stayed until I couldn't. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to help families on the other side. And we started out exclusively on the CPS front. And we ended up expanding because I'd already done a lot. In addition to CPS, there's such a unique perspective when it comes to the full spectrum. Different from being in court. I was in people's homes. We dealt with custody disputes as well. CPS often, in some states, actually, custody evaluations are maybe outsourced to CPS to do and submit to the court. And that was something that I did as well. So I had a lot of familiarity across the spectrum of family and parental rights issues to begin with, and a unique perspective that the average attorney just did not. Now, last year, what we started to see as AI agents started to become more and more prominent, we started to see that the human expertise was being a little less valued, especially with AI becoming the new buzzword. So we knew we had to pivot. And so last year, we worked extremely hard rebuilding KinGuard AI, which was more of a CPS information complementary tool, into a full spectrum family law expert assistant for both, a version for attorneys and family legal professionals, and a version for individuals and parents. And this took us a good 8 months. One of the biggest problems in family law and just domestic issues, generally, is quite simply that, and I'm sure you experienced this in Lance when you were training your AI agent, is most legal AIs are very good at regurgitating the letter of the law as written. They're not particularly good at nuance. They're not particularly good at looking at what are the different parties' interests? How might they mitigate risk in those interests, their own liability? Based on the laws, how might they, and regulations, how might they act? How might emotions, factor in, and all these other variables. AI does a terrible job with that. And so what ends up happening is a lot of people get the idea, well, this is the letter of the law, this is the way it should go. And yes, that is the way it should go. This is where, unfortunately, when the culture can't agree on a system of justice, the government goes completely haywire downstream of it.
I find that it's not only a cultural issue. I find that when they always say that a couple of things that I've always kind of adhered to: never trust a man in a dress, and of course, that the bias is supposed to be limited and stopped when the judge puts his robe on. That political bias or personal bias, and it doesn't matter what it is, he's supposed to leave it at the door. That doesn't really happen. And although I see what you're talking about, and I think AI has made leaps and bounds in the last 14 months. What it produced for documentation or case citations, you had to really worry about hallucination and other issues within AI. I think the difficulty comes is that people assume that the law is very static, and it's not. It's very fluid, and that fluidness isn't always correct, because a judge might rule from the bench, or let's say opposing counsel will try to manipulate the law to the detriment to the person on the other side. So in the case of family law court, let's say you're defending somebody, not you personally, but the lawyers are defending, the judge may do things like mischaracterize filings, not allow evidence in, even though the rule says that he's supposed to. He may take the law and manipulate it. A ruling comes down from a different court, and he may try to take one part of the judicial, argument, or the judicial citation, or the citation on the case, meaning that what the ruling is, and he will leave out pieces in the middle and use the beginning and the end. And we see that with defense counsel and prosecutors. Now, I don't know how common that is in the family services court. My concern isn't only where AI how it reacts. And you're right about what you said. It does miss the nuances. But it goes beyond that, because what I'm finding is that AI is identifying manipulated law, false rulings, arguments that have been made by different judges across the nation when they've ruled, and they're manipulated, that they're sua sponte, and they're doing all this other stuff, that if in fact an independent oversight group like KinGuard was reviewing every single case, and they were giving a point system that was published on judges across the nation, I'd have to argue that a lot of judges, now there's some great judges, don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic judges, there's some fantastic prosecutors, there's some fantastic defense counsels and people that represent individuals, but there are a lot of them that are scumbags. They are lying, cheating, manipulative scumbags.
I believe it was Jordan Peterson who said that the most expensive type of lawyer is a bad lawyer. So
got to get you got to get that evergreen retainer and keep that thing full. As you know, 0.15 walk to the water cooler, 0.12 called my client, didn't answer the phone, 0.65, you've seen those billings.
Absolutely. And outside of litigation, we're starting to see law firms move away from the billable hour, but litigation is the one really sticky area where the billable hour just won't die. And unfortunately, it's predicated, the entire billable hour framework is built on the less efficient you are, the more profitable you are, which I think is a big problem. What KinGuard AI has managed, what we've managed to do with it, the really magical thing is that KinGuard AI does understand nuance. It does look at the judge's different issues. It looks at what are the different interests. How might your emotions affect things? How might risk be evaluated? That has been huge. When you talk about,
was it easier for you to create those directives, to train it in the nuances because of your psychology background? Did you feel like that really benefited you when you got done doing it? And for the audience, if you don't know this, directives are how you train your AI. You might use a deep search or depending on what AI you're using. And that's where you do the training. And then your agent actually operates in the background to act as your assistant. So did you feel like your psychology background really helped you with that?
I find it's less my psychology background and more my clinical hypnotherapy background, because a lot of that comes down to the type of language that you use. When you're actually prompting an LLM, an AI tool, I find that the best persona to really embody or assume is that of a film director talking to an actor, of this is the mindset that I want you to be in. This is what I'm looking for you to do. You don't need that so much anymore, but to answer your question, really, what made the difference was looking at how the training data was organized and what training data was used. If I wanted it to look for specific things or take it into account, I had to look at what is the full scope of what this AI knows, how is it going to think, and what do I want it to consider? Because
for the audience, Jay, let me just stop you just in case somebody doesn't know what an LLM is. That's a large language model in artificial intelligence. So that's kind of, you'll get it in ChatGPT, you'll get it in Gemini, and it's going to be, the training on large amounts of text data, to understand certain topics. So go ahead, Jay, I didn't want to interrupt you, but sometimes the audience, I want to make sure when we use an abbreviation, we like to make sure they know what we just said.
Mm-hmm. That's really important. That's a really good thing. Keeps everybody understanding what's going on, and never hurts to learn. So when it comes to KinGuard AI, part of it too is we have to look at what exactly would an attorney use it for? What exactly would a parent or a soon-to-be ex-spouse or a prospective adoptive parent, what would they use it for, or how would they use it? Would they use it to draft or edit documents? Would they use it to perform research? Would they use it for case analysis or strategy? Would they use it for case outcome prediction? It's easier to build a bunch of specialists than it is to build a single one who can do it all. So if you imagine KinGuard AI as like a whole department doing a project, you have your supervisor and you have your specialists. And we send a query. It goes to the supervisor, it gets delegated to which are the relevant specialists for this query. So do we need a researcher? Do we need an outcome predictor? Do we need a strategist? And it will send it down to these specialists.
So that's why you have 7 agents. You have specialists in different categories for each agency that you needed.
Absolutely. And depending on the query, it could use one specialist. It might use all 7. And then we have the data organized in such a way that it only looks for, this is the data this is the information. This is the category of information that is most relevant to what I'm looking for, to what I need for this query. And then each agent will actually come up with its own response and then send it back up to their supervisor. And their supervisor will review all the responses. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 6 different responses. And it will say, okay, let me check this against my instructions. And each of the agents had its own instructions too. And then it will formulate the answer that it will provide. And so there are multiple perspectives, multiple checks going on in addition to the instructions that we already give it. There are a number of interesting tricks, tactics, groundbreaking techniques that we've used to make it really unmatched in the family justice area.
It's interesting because, of course, by having that oversight of 7 different agents working together like an entire law firm of experts, and that's really what you've created in your own way. It's interesting because, of course, that would give kind of an oversight for auditing to make sure that, in fact, what it's producing is accurate. So they're kind of cross-checking each other. Is that correct?
So the supervisor is checking all of them. They're not cross-checking. The agents will independently do their research. And then the supervisor agent, which could be an eighth agent if you want to, go about it that way. But it's because it does that spot checking and it integrates the best from each, you're not just getting one perspective. And I think that's a really important factor. I wouldn't have released it if I didn't think that it was really a tool that I would use. And
how long ago did you release it? How long ago?
So we initially released it to our current subscribers just before Christmas, and then we did our public release January 4th. This is brand
Congratulations on that, because I know what it took to do what you just described, because training 7 different individual AI agents, I've spent months just training one, let alone multiple. And I'm training another one now that is complicated in itself because it's about programming.
This is trained on more than 2 million records. It's in addition to our own proprietary data, it's got all the family-related laws, administrative rules, court rules,
and is that for all 50 manuals. States? All 50 states?
All 50 states and DC. It's got additional research. It's got tens of thousands of pieces of case law, all in the family law space. And it's we're still adding to this, but even especially for CPS, because we believe that's really almost a separate animal.
Can we walk the audience through the website and kind of take a look at what you've got on there and what the areas are? When I went there, I noticed you had the one company, then you had the other one. So let's walk them through, because I'm sure there are many people that would use this service. I know there's people in our audience that have been dealing with, family law issues, divorces, and things where children are, in their education system. So let's walk them through, Jay, and also kind of explain for the audience how the service works. If there's a subscription fee, what do they pay? Can they pay at one time? They pay yearly? They pay monthly? Kind of take them through soup to nuts.
Yeah, of course. So for individuals, I'll start there. We have our Urgent Assist service, which under subscription, there's actually Urgent Assist, and there's also a register page. The register page is for our Urgent Assist free tier. I have always been sympathetic to those who, I know how expensive attorneys are. I know how expensive, help is. And even if you're just working with your attorney and you need some place to go, I think that at least offering a limited free service, I think, is really helpful. So we do offer a free tier for parents. There are obviously, just like with any other AI, rate limits, but unlike others, we are actually transparent with those, and we try to be as generous as possible. With our paid tiers, the rate limits are obviously higher for KinGuard AI. We call them kin credits. And on top of that, you do get access to various ways to work with our child welfare consultants or our strategists, who are all expert former CPS investigators. And the reason that we have this, I think it's really important, is in these, in family justice, I think the human element is still really important. So with parents, it starts at as low as $59.99 a month for the Urgent Assist Basic tier, and it goes as high as $224.99 for the Ultra tier. The additional human expertise is essentially a la carte. You can get it per hour, so you don't have to use it at all. We received feedback that including the human expertise on a month-to-month basis was making it more expensive, and they weren't necessarily using everything every month. So we shifted it in that direction, and I think that's been a lot better. Parents in particular, and even spouses or ex-spouses, what they tend to use this for most commonly is they use it for CPS issues. They use it for when they're preparing for divorce or going through intimate partner violence, trying to some of them, it doesn't provide legal advice. Some of them inevitably do end up using it to assist with pro se. A lot
Can I
of
ask
them
you a
use
question,
it.
Jay, for the pro se person, because I myself have done much of that in my past. Does it allow you to upload rulings, let's say motions by opposing counsel, yada, yada, depending whatever vertical of family law we're in? Does it allow you to take those and then get a critique by the 7 AI agents? For example, a judge comes down with a ruling. There's been a flurry of motions. You could upload those motions and say, this is the ruling the judge gave. Can you tell me, is this legally sufficient? Did he miss citation? Did he mischaracterize? Did he change arguments? Will it review the documentation and the rulings or filings by opposing counsel so that it can critique it and kind of tell you what's going on and get through the legal speak for a pro se? Because, of course, a lot of people don't understand legal gobbledygook, I call it, because they see the Latin, they see the terminology. They're like, I don't even know what the hell this means. Does it do that?
Absolutely. We've tested it with uploading PDFs, open document formats, Excel spreadsheets, Microsoft Word documents, the whole 9 yards.
Very important. Let me say this to the audience. That is one of the best features of this product right here, because I'm going to tell you something. If you count on, I don't care, and I'm not telling you to undercut your own attorney. I'm telling you to check your attorney. Don't assume anything. And that's the power of this tool right here, that you can go in and give it a judicial ruling. You can give it filings by opposing counsel. You can even take your attorney's own filings. Because let me be clear, often your own attorney is a lazy son of a bitch. Don't underestimate for him to use cookie cutter motions, to take your retainer and use motions that were crafted for another case, change the names, change a few other things, and use that because he's running late for another project he's working on. Never just assume. That's the power of this, that you can actually use it to audit what's going on in the case and get a real world application and something in simple terminology that you can understand. Take it from there, Jay. I didn't want to step on you, but I want to point out the power of what you just said this does.
No, that's perfectly okay. And, you said it, real world. That's what's really important is, if it just regurgitates the letter of the law for you, that's not helpful for your situation. It's, yes, I can scream about the Constitution to the high heavens, but if that's not going to change my outcome, then that's not helpful to me.
Yeah.
I want to change my outcome. And so having output that actually makes it, that actually makes sense for how your case exists in the real world is so important.
100%.
We actually just, we've been rolling out new features left and right. We actually just, we've made it so now it can remember what you said before. It saves different conversations. You can delete them at will. We really want to give users as much control as possible over their data. We don't train our AI on anybody's queries. We don't sell them. It all stays private and confidential. This is not something we share. I mean, for quality assurance, we may occasionally, monitor, make sure that the input and output are working well and that it's doing what it should be doing. But other than that, your data doesn't go anywhere. And that's not just.
But that pool of data that the AI has access to, that constant inflow of people that are using your product from around the country, I can't minimize for the audience how beneficial that is, because there may be other families in your own state that are dealing with the nearly identical issues. I know no family issue is identical, but by having a repository And remember the thing about AI, it's got a perfect memory damn near, meaning that it remembers every document it's seen. It remembers every line of interpretation, every legal ruling. You're dealing with somebody that has almost, and I'm not saying it's perfect. AI does have some flaws. I don't want to say perfect because I'd be lying. It's still growing. But where it was at 14 months ago to where it is now, it's light years ahead, and it's moving so rapidly. But imagine now you have this access to not only the legal work that's being submitted by attorneys, not only the rulings by the judges, but individuals like yourself with real world problems that match what's going on for you. And AI's already done some work for them. It's never going to tell you about that person's case, but the experience in that case, the law in that case, the rulings in that case, in a couple of years, I can't imagine what the value of this is, Jay, because it becomes one of the most powerful, in my take, one of the most powerful family defense tools probably, ever created.
I agree. I think that, one of the most important things here is if you want to actually change, if you want to facilitate change in a culture, if you want to make it better, you have to be able to reach the masses and make something so accessible, or or change something about the system, whether it's the people or it's it's the knowledge. This is the equivalent of the invention of the printing press and more people becoming literate. Is all of a sudden, if you have more people who are able to be more pragmatic, more efficient, then the system has to adapt because the status quo changes. And when you can do this at a scalable level, this is where this becomes more than just a product to sell, and it becomes how do we make society better. This is where entrepreneurship. This is where the term social entrepreneurship starts to have real emotional meaning and substance. And even for attorneys, some of the best attorneys are solo practitioners who are really trying to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and they might, they're lucky if they have one paralegal, and having something that understands the nuance, that they can bounce ideas off of, that they can draft legal documents relatively easily to save it an enormous amount of time, that they can, that they can also, look at potential scenarios, outcomes, spot check things, perform legal research. The amount
there's
of
no
hours that
possible way
saves.
that a human being can keep up with the fact that your AI, and I'm sure you're constantly training it, the fact that it has the newest case citations, the newest precedent, the newest rulings. It can review what the judges in a case, for example, if you had lots of cases in New York or lots of clients in New York, there may be specific judges whose rulings are coming up constantly. You can see patterns in those rulings. And an attorney, let me say this, the best attorneys in the world, and I've met some brilliant attorneys over the years. I mean, truly brilliant, that really prove my ignorance of the law in discussions I've had with them. But the point is that you can't get that. So for the audience, for anybody that's dealing with this kind of stuff, and we all have people that have had family issues. We all have people around us, people we care about. What he's created here, I wasn't sure, I didn't know enough about it. Let me say that to begin with. What he's created here is a powerful, powerful assistant, a person that, isn't going to take bias one way or the other. They're not going to tell you, oh yeah, it's all perfect, you're going to win. Because that's the other thing that lawyers become. They almost become psychological assistance or personal support for families, because families are upset. They call them because they're emotional. They call them when they get a bad ruling. The thing about this is it can take the emotion out of it, still see the nuances, and it gives you something that the amount of training that's gone to this, training seven AI agents, for the audience, I'd have to tell you, we're talking thousands and thousands of hours. It is a lot of time that's required to do that. And the AI goes out and you're trying to change it in certain verticals and you see it isn't doing something right. You have to correct it. Anyway, it goes on and on. I've only done one AI agent. I'm working on a second one now, but I know how complicated that is. But for the audience, this is something I would bookmark this and save it and share it with all your friends and family members and your loved ones, anybody that's going through anything, because there's no way an attorney, I don't care if he's the best attorney in the globe, I'm going to go on the limb and say this. It's impossible for him to keep up with AI. It's impossible because, and we haven't even seen the effects of quantum computing at full speed on AI yet. The future of that, you're talking about when you send it out to take classes, and I don't know where you've trained your AI agent, but if it goes on the internet and you're asking it to look for classes, pro se law, civil defense, civil rights, or federal criminal law, it can do that. Now, it may take a day, it may take 2 days, depending on how complicated the directives are. But an attorney could never do that. He doesn't have the time to do it. He could never accumulate that much knowledge. Go ahead, Jay. I just want the audience to realize how complex this is, what you created.
Yep. Yeah. And for attorneys, our legal assist service is customized to them. Much higher, King credit limits for King Guard AI, different extended access to our human support as well. And even with the highest tier, early access to the latest models. So we have that. I will tell you how I knew that King Guard AI really was something special was I was using it I was testing it on a couple of prompts. One, a hypothetical medical mimics of child abuse dependency case, and another I was looking at child custody, a child custody dispute of two unmarried individuals across 2 different states. And the output that I saw that came out of King Guard AI consistently intimidated me. It was so good that it intimidated me. And I felt, and that feeling told me this is the future has arrived. And if that's how I felt last month, imagine where we will be a year from now. That is an exciting and frightening thought.
Yeah, I want to tell you something, and I agree with that. I've had that same sensation that I've written a motion or I've looked at to research a specific topic when I've been doing filings, and the AI will come back and it will absolutely, and I'll ask it to critique me negatively and positively, and what areas can I improve? And I'm so blown away by what it produces, because it will give me additional case citations, case supports. It'll give me nuances in the argument, wording that needs to be crafted in a certain manner to make sure the judge doesn't try to manipulate what I'm trying to, quantify in my filings. So unbelievable. Listen, Jay, we're out of time. Love what you had to say here. Great product, great idea. Here's your shameless plug. Tell us, give us the website name again. Give us your social media. I don't know. Do you do a blog or anything? Are you doing any kind of a Substack or anything else to advise people?
So we have a knowledge base, a series of articles that's also included in our Urgent Assist free tier. So I would say, go to heartworkdefense.com. If you're, if you're an individual or non-legal professional, sign up for Urgent Assist free and try it out. You can always, if you need more use of King Guard AI, you can always upgrade to a paid tier at any time. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're an attorney, sign up for any of the legal assist tiers. There's a 14-day risk-free trial. You can use it for 2 weeks, and if you don't like it, just cancel it. And no harm, no foul. This is right now, especially for attorneys. If you are, if you're not using AI, your clients are, and you need to stay ahead of your clients. Bottom line,
100%.
And if you're an individual or you're a parent, you're working with your attorney. Your attorney is very busy, has a lot of work to do. No one cares about your case more than you do. You need to be, getting an attorney to represent you is not a done for you service. You need to still be in the driver's seat, like it or not. This is where King Guard AI helps you. And our 100%. Child welfare consultants, our human expertise, are here to support you. It is not just the AI alone. If the AI is not enough, we have human expertise here too. We have not gotten rid of that. And I think that is so important. You go to other AIs, there's no way to say, okay, I need to talk to a person. I need to spot check this. Here at Hard Work Defense, you can do that.
Absolutely. Listen, so hopefully that's helped you in the audience. If you like the show, share it far and wide. Take the live link, and of course, share that with your audience whenever we're on, or your friends and family. I shouldn't say audience. And take the short form, take the long form. Let your friends know about Hard Work Defense, because who knows what they're dealing with. You don't necessarily know if they're going to go through a divorce. You don't know what's going on with their families. Having the right tools in your tool bag. I always say go to the tool bag for the right tool. In this case, this is the solution, in my opinion, and it's the future. You don't want to be Neanderthal man. AI is here to stay. It's not going away. If you don't keep up the speed, it's changing so rapidly that in a couple of months, you may wonder, I don't know what I'm going to do, or I'm not sure what I understand any longer. I know I feel like that. Maybe you do also. Don't forget to follow G. Ballantine, Lance Miaccio, The Big Mig Show. Find us here at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard. George, we're out of interviews for the week, correct? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, tomorrow it's just free for all.
Free for all, baby. We're going all in. You know how those shows go. So
yeah,
thanks
just
for
look at
joining
Last
us.
Fridays. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's it. Flash Fridays, baby. Don't forget, hit the follow button. If you can do a paid subscription for $5 a month, it's nothing, but it all goes into the show. Our subscriber base has been growing. So for you, those of you who've been gifting subscriptions, buying subscriptions, thank you so very much. It means the world to us that we're worth your time and your money. And of course, if you can do a Rumble Rant tip, we're also taking tips in crypto. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., baby, Crypto Power Hour, the #1 crypto show on Rumble. So we appreciate you tuning in. I love you guys. George, last words, baby.
Have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow, 7 a.m. for the Crypto Power Hour, 11 a.m. for the Big Mix Show. Tony Triano, thank you so much for the making this interview happen. Jay,
thank you.
You're gonna be inviting me over to Manhattan for some lunch or something.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll get some good food. We'll get some good New York food.
Just more about the good. It's more about the good company, bro.
Got to go to the delis. I miss the delis. The sandwiches.
Yo, you're in Colorado. No one's. You know,
the Carnegie Deli closed?
Yeah, I know.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah, they closed.
Oh, that's awful. That's a great.
Where do you
place.
go to
It
get
was
a good papastrami sandwich now? It's tough, man. It's tough.
Mr. Broadway.
The struggle is real. Catch you guys later. Peace.
I might have to let it drop. Said gotta do hella big, had to put it again, like said had to do hella big.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit cspoa.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's cspoa.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA. The future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit blocktrustira.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.